Outnumbered overtime. OT, baby. Okay. Ben Collins, how long do you think we're going to be in Afghanistan? 3 tours you served. And after giving the president's speech last night, some argue on the left that, oh, it's an open-ended thing. Even within the Republican Party, there's concern of that. Is that what you heard him say, or did you hear something different?
I heard him say, and you will have to, well, not publicly, because we don't want to share this publicly, but by saying that they want to ensure that there is, a stable Afghanistan that doesn't have the ability to to have a vacuum so that terrorist organizations can do what they did around 9/11. That can be anything in the broad spectrum of let's just kill every bad guy that we can get our hands on ad infinitum, forever, to let's put a McDonald's on every corner and have city councils in Kandahar, right?
I didn't know that was what democracy was.
So there's, in that sense, like what is the minimum viable,
what do you think it
outtake? So here's what I think. Honestly,
I think you've talked with the president.
I think that Kabul, as a centralized government, has.
We don't have an ambassador there. Do you want the job?
I would love to be the ambassador to Afghanistan. Of course, I would. But we have to make sure that Kabul doesn't fall. However, Afghanistan is such a localized country. It's not that country in the sense that we come to think of it. Really what they, down at the provincial level, and people just want to have their grievances heard, and they want jobs, and they want to be able to walk their kids to a school, and they would like the girls to be able to go to school.
That would be nice.
In Maslow's hierarchy of needs, they are down in the security and food and jobs and safety. That's what they want. So we're never going to see an Afghanistan that has a strong centralized government. And the way that we come to think of it, we don't need to have that. As long as we can make sure that there is no area, and I'm telling you, unfortunately, the area between the border region between Afghanistan and Pakistan, that's where more than half the terrorist groups in the world reside. So we are going to have to get heavy-handed with Pakistan in some form or another. But looking forward, I mean, you're talking about close to between India and China in that region. You've got 25% of the world's population. You've got something like 75% of. Well, we should be there, I think. If you look long term, what are the U.S. benefits? Well, you're talking about having a partner who I would hope is stable and friendly, and certainly with China's One Belt.
Let me back up for 1 second. You say having a partner that's. I assume we're still talking about Afghanistan here, and. If we're not going to nation build, so if there's no kind of, say, Marshall Plan to get Afghanistan on its feet, how are we ever going to have some kind of partner? I mean, aren't we? I mean, he made the point, we're not nation building, we're killing terrorists. So we got to go out and get all these bad guys all over the country. But there's something different about that versus, say, having a partner and seeing, people have an opportunity there in Afghanistan, such as they otherwise wouldn't have.
So this is the unfortunate reality for Afghanistan, and I love Afghanistan. I love the Afghan people. However, history, unfortunately, has always wanted to conquer Afghanistan or to be in Afghanistan, not because of what's in Afghanistan itself. There is no oil, natural gas. They want to be in Afghanistan because of where it is geographically on a map. And you've got Iran as a border, you've got the former Soviet states, and then you've got China, it shares a border with China, and then Pakistan and India, and there's the Indian Ocean. Now, the trade routes going back through history, that's people wanted to have command of that. Today is no different. You look at the Indian Ocean, and it's something like 75 to 90% of the world's shipping goes through the Indian Ocean. When talking about moving goods, India's economy, China's economy, those middle classes, they're going to need products, they're going to need goods. That's why China is spending this incredible amount of money on their infrastructure play with One Belt, One Road. They're creating through India, through Pakistan, they're creating dry ports. So long term, being able to have a place in that region that we can call a friend will be beneficial.
Okay, so you are in favor then of nation building?
No, I'm not. Nation building to me is staying there long enough to create to me, I would rather let Afghanistan be the nation it's always been. right? So let Afghanistan be a nation in its own form that it's had for 1,000 years. Let's not nation build in our form.
Okay,
right?
But I think that's why.
That's
because in the past
fair.
we were waiting. Well, let's make sure that the police are uncorrupt and that judges have gone
Actually,
through.
no. Actually, could we just not kill girls for going to school?
Oh,
Like, can we
absolutely.
stay long enough for that? Or because we've been there 16
the Afghan
years,
people don't.
and we still
they
haven't
want their girls
changed
to
it.
go to
We
school.
still
Of
can't
course you're
change
saying.
that
Yeah,
one
and they
point.
used to.
They do, and actually, if you track the social changes,
Right.
there is more support now for social change. So you see women.
How long is that
women
going to
in
last with the
workforce.
Taliban taking a third of the country and on the march to take the rest?
Well, but the reason that the Taliban when they say take the country, the reason that they take the country is they take territory because the central government isn't there to maintain some stability, or they go in and they go out. So the Taliban, only in Kandahar, the southern part where all the opium is, do they hold that territory.
Are you worried that we're going to end up with the same sort of reaction or realization that Russia had after being there all those years? They tried this already.
Well, what they tried and what we have tried is
And we
to
haven't
take and
addressed
hold
what they
territory.
want out of this, because Russia plays
we
a critical
do
role.
need to ask what Russia wants, but I'm curious, are we going to learn the same lessons that they did, or can we do better?
We can do better. And I think we can do better because we have individuals that are advising the president now. And look, even within the military itself, you know, my peer group are now commanders.
Right.
So I got over there as a young soldier. My friends are now commanding special operations task forces over there, right? We're a little long in the tooth, 16 years in this war. They know what works, they know what doesn't. And certainly I think in General Mattis, General Kelly, you know, we have to remember that Trump now has an advisor who sits next to him, and and it's hard to say it, but, you know, remember that General Kelly lost a son in Afghanistan. A Marine officer.
Yeah.
And so that's a very visceral reminder, I think, for this president that what the cost is for what we do when we go overseas. And I do think that there is we have failed, to be honest. I think when I look at Congress over the last 10 years, and I look at the American people in terms of demanding from our elected leadership this kind of a response, this kind of a plan to come, because I can tell you the disconnect between the Pentagon, the White House, Congress, the State Department has been immense over the last 10 years. And that needs to be fixed.
I totally agree with you, and I would just add a lot of what we've been dancing around is the issue of civil society here, and that's what we're talking about when we say girls can't go to school, right? And they don't have places they can go after school if they are lucky enough to be going. And that was a key plank of President Obama's strategy, and everyone made fun of him when he said, you know, people who are being led to terrorism, they need jobs. We need to make sure that they have a good life, because that's what happens when you don't have somewhere to go. You go online.
People make fun of the social potential of that, Jessica. They made fun of the fact that he also wasn't then deploying the equipment via our military to make that happen in some ways.
I understand. Listen, I've been very critical of President Obama's foreign policy, specifically, much more than his domestic agenda. But I do think that that's a critical plank to remember when we look at these budget cuts that are going to foreign aid, to the State Department, for our ability to be diplomatic and to be well funded in doing that. And I think that's something very dangerous that has come out of the Trump administration. I know
agree.
I've spoken to a lot of people like you who have served, who have said that if we don't have the money to be building these programs.
General Mattis said it. Great. He said it best. He said, look, if you're going to cut the budget of the State Department, I'm going to have to buy more bullets. And we don't want to do that. And that's true.
Yeah.
And you know, women, besides it being such a social necessity, it's an economic one as well. I mean, the women, you know, in that country, for them to come out, to be able to go to school, to be able to have jobs, and you are seeing an increase of acceptance for that. They just want to live their lives, and they need some stability to do that. And so I hope we do learn the lessons of the last 16 years, and I think we're on the right track. I hope.
To stay there.
All right, a couple things. Gail Jones, good show. Ben is great. Have him back. That's from Facebook Live, everybody. And I know we have a record number above 12,000 on just our live chat. So that doesn't even speak to how many streams people are watching. That is just such a fantastic thing. Now, the byproduct of that is that there's so many people trying to get on because they love this conversation and they love you, Ben Collins.
Oh.
That there's people, I have audio, but I can't see you, or I can see you. Your lips are moving, but we can't hear you. So be patient, because technology, I think, is kind of catching up with where we are today. I'm seeing a lot of pushback on the fact that Who's not showing up tonight? The mayor is not showing up, but he's going.
The governor is not going.
Okay.
Governor Ducey.
Okay, so Governor Ducey is going to go to the tarmac for the president, but he's not going to be at the rally. People are not liking that. So I'm seeing that as a trend.
Right. They want unification of the Republican Party. They want Republicans on board
with the Phoenix
with
on that.
Trump.
Ben, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Fun.